holes. You say sorry just for show. If you live like that, you live with ghosts. Band-aids don't fix bullet holes. You say sorry just for show. You live like that, you live with ghosts. If you love like that, blood runs. 'Cause baby, now we got bad blood. You know we used to be bad love. So take a look what you've done. 'Cause baby, now we got bad blood. Hey, now we got problems, and I don't think we can solve them. You made a really big cuts, and baby, now we got bad blood. 'Cause now we got bad blood. You know we used to be bad love. So take a look what you've done. 'Cause baby, now we got bad blood. Now we got problems, and I don't think we can solve them. You made a really deep cuts, and baby, now we got bad blood. Hey!
To license it.
With each new day, it's harder to be enthused about your oatmeal and cup of tea.
But here is a show that makes you want to wake up and open your eyes.
Lucky there's these radio guys. Lucky there's these guys who wake up before you do. Every day's another
Big surprise!
Here's your morning guys.
Dave's not here.
Alrighty. Well, it's a little foggy out there today. I'll tell you that right now. Right, Henry, old buddy, old pal, you made it in, man. You are the hero.
I have a public service announcement to make.
Yeah.
Don't drive.
Yes. You took the words right out of my mouth.
Yes, stay home today.
Believe me, it is very, very bad. And but we have a big show today. Like Ed Sullivan used to say, Ed O'Brien is due in. Hopefully Ed can make it in.
I don't know, man. It's kind of funky out there.
Yeah.
If you can make it, he can make it.
Yeah. If I can make it, I can. If I can make it here, I can make it anywhere.
I can't believe you came in.
Yeah, I know.
I am amazed.
Do I get the
You
star
get
of the day?
something. Yeah.
Okay. All righty. But believe me, if you don't have to drive, please don't drive. It's very bad out there.
Yeah.
Take it from me.
Oh, yeah. How about
I know what you get. You get some Everclear. That'll calm me down.
Yes.
How about if I take it from Phil?
Well, currently we have a dense fog warning. Literally.
It's a warning? Oh.
Yeah, till 10 o'clock this morning. So if you don't need to drive, stay home. I know how it is. I've been out there.
Now you tell me.
Well, I thought you would stay home, actually.
Well, anyway.
Anyway.
There'll be other days I'll be staying home, believe me.
Currently, it's 38 degrees with dense fog. And, of course, there's no wind because otherwise it'll blow it all away. And everything is the same temperature because it's at the dew point. 30 degrees, dew point's 30. But never fear, the sun will be back.
Really?
At 7:10 a.m. and it will set at 4:21 p.m. And forget about the moon. You can't see it at all. Well, actually, I seen it last night because it was clear out.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It came up at 3:52 p.m.
I lost Don and Marty, but I'm trying to get them back.
Yeah.
They can't see where they're at.
Yeah.
They're in the fog.
Okay.
Anyways, it set at 6:47 a.m., which you didn't see because you can't see it. Too much fog out there.
Yep.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Anyways, today will be one of the warmer days. It'll be high of 44. And mostly cloudy all day, actually. Then dropping back down to 28. with some breezes, just a little bit. Northeast breezes about 10. Then on your Thursday, it's a little bit cooler, 42, with some PM showers. Yeah, 90% chance. So it's going to be some showers late in the day.
Now, is it going to turn to snow or?
Yeah, there might be a chance of snow, but the low won't be till in the morning at 32. So, yep. And we'll have some breezes out of the east-northeast at about 10 miles an hour.
Ooh.
And Friday, even cooler, down to only up to 40 and a low of 32 with rain and snow.
Jeez.
On Friday.
How much accumulation? Any?
None. Currently, it's dense
That's
fog
enough for Henry.
and 30 degrees.
All right. Thank you, buddy.
Back to you, Dave.
All right, good. Thank you. All right, so Henry, today we got Ed O'Brien coming in. Now, what are we celebrating with Ed today?
Well, today, December 7th, is Pearl Harbor Day.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, today.
Will live in infamy.
So is he gonna come in like dressed up or?
Well, I don't know if he's going to be dressed up, but he'll. Well, of course he'll be dressed.
Yeah, we hope. Yeah.
He'll be all bombed out.
Anyway, he'll have some pearls to show us. No, I'm just kidding. But he'll have some remnants of World War II. He'll have probably some souvenirs. And it's hard to believe this is the 81st anniversary of that event.
Jeez.
Yes. And Ed had told me, and I think he'll probably mention again, there's still a few thousand people left, from those days.
Really?
Around the world.
Wow.
That had to be crazy, though. You're sitting there,
Right.
on the beach in Hawaii, and all of a sudden you see all these planes coming in from
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
You must have seen the movie I did.
Yeah.
And also today, December 7th, is the last day you can enroll for Medicare. That's right.
I'm
Those
already
Medicare,
involved.
Medicare Advantage programs. I've been seeing all those ads on TV.
Yeah.
And this is it, December 7th. So if you haven't done it by
Pearl
now.
Harbor Day for your health care.
Yeah, that's right.
Geez.
Yeah, I wonder how they. That probably had something to do with it. But today, December 7th. Have you seen all those ads on TV?
They were going crazy.
Yeah.
I ignore all
I
of
get
them.
them on my phone.
Yeah. Really?
I call up and
Yeah, but you look like a live one
and,
for him,
But the thing is that if you talk to them people, if you're already on a system and stuff, they'll wipe you off.
They're going to try to. Yeah, they're going to try to.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. If those of you who are on plans, and if you like your plan, I guess, stay with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's anyway. And in other big news, while you're trying to get Donna and Marty on, of course, they had the Georgia election last night, the Senate election. And,
Well, that's Georgia.
well, I've got Georgia on my mind. Well, I have a sister who lives there, so it's...
it affects us in a lot more ways than that.
Yes, well, it affects the Senate outcome, and Raphael Warnock has won re-election. See, the thing is, he's been senator for 2 years. He was serving the remainder of the previous senator's term, and now he was just elected to a new 6-year term. So that's how this...
So he was given the job to start.
Oh, he had to run for the job because the previous person retired, and it was a special election. And so I think that he's run like 5 times already because they had all these runoffs. Anyway, but it was a clear win for him last night, beating Herschel Walker. And actually, Herschel Walker gave a concession speech.
But but at least he ran a clean, for the most part.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the thing is that the governor of that state did very well. Herschel Walker actually had less votes this time than a month ago.
Really?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well, that's because probably the ones that voted for him didn't come back out.
Yes.
Right, yeah.
And actually, the control of the Senate wasn't really online, because it was already declared that the Democrats were going to win. So now they have 51 seats against 49 for the Republicans. So with that extra seat, they'll be able to control committees, and they should get a lot of their stuff done.
Maybe, because some of them guys like to switch.
Yes, so we'll see. Anyway, that's all I have to say about it. So, because as the song says, I had Georgia on my mind this morning.
Yeah, you did. All right. Anyhow, hey Don, how you doing, girl?
All righty, Rudy Tootie.
All right. So,
her name's Rudy.
What's today?
Oh, Donnie.
Yeah. And Donna, whatever you do, don't drive for a while this morning.
Oh man,
it is very bad out there.
Is it down by you guys, Foggy, or?
I don't know. I didn't look out there, but I will. I'll be right back.
All right.
You go look.
Yeah. Go take a look. Yeah. All right.
if she makes it back, she may not be able to find her way back.
We'll log her out.
Well, I don't think it's foggy in her place.
It's foggy in her.
Unless she opens all the windows.
Yeah. Marty, it's down by you. You got a little bit, don't you, bud?
Yeah, we got fog.
Yeah.
I'll be back.
I got lost coming down the stairs.
Okay. Oh, I don't know why. I think Ed O'Brien coming in today made me.
If he makes it.
All right. Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
He might call in.
Oh yeah.
Nah, he'll be here. He's a trooper.
Ed's a real trooper. That's right. He'll.
Well, yes, he was an Army officer. So
Yes,
he should
he's been
show
through
up.
tough times.
By the way, too, yesterday morning, as Henry found out, I always surprise you, don't I, buddy? Huh? I went over there and I was harassing Ivan.
Oh yes.
Over at the Harvard Cozy Nook.
Yes.
And had breakfast over there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what you end
You
up
were
getting?
trying. No, I know you was trying to. You was trying to weasel a free breakfast out of me, and I didn't offer.
I was hoping you were going to
No.
still be there after the show. That's right.
Yeah, no,
You were long gone.
I had to go.
He had to go north.
Yeah, actually, I went up to Madison yesterday, fixed a handicap door.
Oh, you didn't get lost, huh?
Well, I figured out what it was.
Oh.
Yeah, there's a little old lady stuck in it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Was she from Pasadena?
She was. Yeah. Yeah, so I took. So what I did was I got the crowbar, grabbed her by the foot, and just kind of spread it open and pulled her out, and the door worked.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, it's clear as a bell here.
Really?
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's
She's
Chicago
close to
for
the
you.
lake.
I can see clearly
Oh,
now.
my God, she's singing again. All right. So today is Hump Day. And you know, and today is actually a good Hump Day for me because today's the last day that my brother works for 3 days.
Oh.
And I got to say, this
Wait a
morning.
minute, 4 days.
Oh, that's right. He's off 4 days. Yeah. Well, thank you for that.
Yeah.
Why you my grill? So
Well, you really know his schedule.
yeah,
you ran
yeah,
her
well,
over.
he wakes me up. He wakes me up. What he does, he calls to wake me up. It's to see if I'm awake.
Are you awake?
Does me the same thing.
Yeah, I know. He's.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who's on our Facebook Live out there?
Well, let's
running
see
Donna
who's
Girl?
out here right now. I see Lisa Girl's out there.
What's
Hey,
up?
Lisa. Mike's out there, and Jessica.
Awesome.
Good morning, Jessica.
Hey, girl.
And Marty's out there.
I'll say.
Let me see. That's all I see right now.
Well, people are checking in. Everybody's.
Well, there's other ones out there.
Yeah.
They just haven't.
Yeah. I just checked in.
Yeah.
They haven't did a chat yet. Oh, there you are, Henry.
Yeah, I know. I was running a little late this morning. Boy, am I
Well,
late.
I'd be darned.
Yeah.
Why?
Well,
Why,
it's a
Henry?
long
Why?
story.
it's a long story. I got lost.
He almost ended up in Wisconsin.
Yes. Well, I was on McGuire Road. You know, I had a hard time. I almost missed the
I don't know
entrance
why
to
you
McGuire
came
Road.
out.
Oh,
You know, let there be a flurry of snow, and then you're battered down the hatches. Now it's like
I thought I
fog.
could deal with the fog, but I should have known better.
Henry, you wet
Is that
yourself.
foggy?
Is it foggy? It's
Oh,
this is probably one of the worst fogs I've seen.
It's that
you can't
thick?
see
Yeah.
a mile.
You
Yeah.
couldn't see
Can't
Mike.
even
Mike
see
couldn't
a
see his
couple
coffee
blocks.
cup coming in.
I
man.
couldn't see the house across the street
Yeah.
this morning.
Yeah,
All right, I learned my lesson.
I couldn't see my glasses.
Okay.
You can see my shiny head though.
Ironically, neither could I. That's why I had to go back
Not in the
upstairs.
fog.
Okay.
It was, yeah, his shiny head is a fog light.
Well, anyway, I came in for Ed O'Brien to see his.
You know, the last time,
Display.
and Donna, you got to agree, right? The
Yeah.
last time that Ed was in here,
I-
we're all
yeah.
sitting here, and the meter's just ringing, and we're just sitting here like watching them.
Yeah.
I just was in. I learned so much from that.
Yeah,
that
yeah.
gentleman.
I feel educated.
Well, he goes.
Yeah.
He does these historic talks at schools.
Oh, yeah.
And special
Awesome.
companies.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, he's known as an historian.
oh yeah. A what?
Historian.
Oh,
Yeah.
He's hysterical
Yeah.
too. He's hysterical.
We thought you were swearing again.
No.
Yeah, I enjoyed that.
Well, you should have seen me drive the car this morning. I was swearing.
That word is a lot more than 4 letters.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting,
Wow.
though, huh?
Harvard Breaking News says howdy.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh.
Good
Oh, we got some
morning,
breaking
Jim.
news.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the
Probably.
fog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, really,
it's like my granddaughter used to say when she was like, "Oh, Grandma, it's froggy out there. It's real froggy.
Yeah. Billions, trillions of frogs.
It's froggy out there."
Good day for Kermit.
And they're all knee deep.
Rip ya. They're more than that.
Well, speaking of
Good
that,
morning, Marge.
we forgot to mention this Bob McGrath, who was with Sesame Street, passed away over a few days ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
So, yeah, we forgot to mention that.
Now, what character did he do?
Well, no, he played the human.
Oh.
We was,
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
He did.
That's a hard part to do.
Yes, that's right.
When the garbage, what is his name? Who was in the garbage can? When he used
Elmo,
to be,
I believe.
No, Oscar
No,
the
Elmo.
Grouch.
Oh, Oscar. Okay.
Yeah.
Or no-
Oscar used to be
Yeah.
orange,
Get
and
away
then
from
they
me.
turned him red
Yep.
Oh.
after a while.
Well,
yeah.
he got in a dumpster from the printing company.
And then that what's her name? Kirsty. She passed away.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Kirstie Alley. Yeah, we mentioned that. Yeah.
Speaking of printing, I'm gonna get some
colon
new.
cancer. And they said she didn't tell anybody about it.
Oh boy.
By the way, Bob McGrath was from Ottawa, Illinois.
Yeah.
Hey Phil, was you trying to get a word in?
Yeah, I'm trying to.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, go.
Sounds like
I was gonna get a.
Come on, Donna, will you?
I know. I was gonna get some more of my cards printed out for my business.
Oh Lord.
You stopped my show for
Okay.
that?
Yeah.
And
Nobody
stop me
cares.
saying about the.
Yeah,
I get a
whatever.
good
Yeah.
deal on it.
Ay, caramba.
This is what we do. It's on the David Morning Show.
That's why it's entertainment.
Yeah, it's entertainment, all right. I can hear the radio's clicking off.
Click, click, click.
But anyhow, I want to say good morning. Now, we called Joe yesterday.
Oh,
And
what happened?
I don't know, nothing, because we got the voicemail.
Well,
That's right.
maybe he might be around this morning.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can find his place.
Yeah.
Well, he has to drive a long way to work.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Man, I'm starting to get in that mood.
All right. Well, Harvard Breaking News says Dave sucks, and Harvard Breaking News says we love Henry.
Henry, are you typing that in there?
Well, that's
Now we know.
now I know where the love is. Okay.
Jeez, man.
Oh, what a hump day!
So, yeah. Now, Donna, last night, I was, when I came home, G had dinner ready.
Okay.
So, I'm going to, hold on a second.
Don't tell me. I know what it was.
I want you guys, no, you don't.
Yeah, I do.
No, you don't. I guarantee you
Yeah, I
don't.
do.
I promise you don't. All right? In 3, 2, 1,
Am I
tell
gonna
me
be-
what
Am I
Dave
going to
had.
be surprised?
I'll say.
Okay.
So, what did Dave have?
Dave had meatloaf.
Nope.
Oh,
Marty?
because that would have surprised me.
Tacos.
Wrong.
I knew that.
Not that I wouldn't like to have.
You had popcorn.
And no. Henry?
Okay.
You
Let's
had.
see. You didn't have tacos, which was yesterday, Taco Tuesday.
But normally I would.
Normally you would.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I was thinking of tacos. Marty, you took the words right out of my mouth. Let's see.
I
What would you
did
have?
not. We were not swapping tongues.
Oh, yeah. You had meatloaf.
Somebody hit the button,
He
please.
said that.
Oh, you had okay.
No meatloaf.
Okay, how about...
Oh, no, you only get one guess. Jim?
Chicken.
No.
Oh.
Jim? What do you think, buddy? Come on, you know. Come on.
I think I know.
Let's do
Something with noodles.
Well,
and
here, hold on a
sauce.
second. Let me put my fingers on your forehead and we'll do a mind belt.
Oh, all right.
That was a hint.
Something with noodles and sauce.
Kind of, yeah. Ooh, not spaghetti, though. Mikey?
No, it would have been
Stroganoff.
manicotti.
Oh, you guys are right in the neighborhood.
Goulash.
It was like, it was, I don't know what it was.
Spud guts.
Well, it was,
That's what I call
close.
spaghetti.
okay. Can I,
Chitlins.
oh, yeah.
In gravy.
You know what the best part about chitlins is when you don't rinse them out. Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Talk about
yummy,
barnyard
yummy.
taste. Oh,
I think Donna had spaghetti. I think she posted it on her Facebook.
All right,
Yes,
so
I did.
I don't know what it was I had, but I can describe to you what
you
it
liked
was,
it.
but I don't know what the name of it was because I didn't make it. All right,
Okay.
So it's like raviolis, okay, with a like a spinach. Oh no, kale, pine nuts, and some kind of a cream sauce.
Oh.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Like
Oh,
a stroganoff type sauce. Alfredo
Maybe, yeah. Nah, not Alfredo, but something like that.
stroganoff
It
type.
was good though.
Do you have the recipe for that?
It's on a card at the house.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
Call your wife up.
Yeah.
I had mashed potatoes with cubed ham in it,
Ooh.
with butter and salt, with no salt and pepper.
I had
Oh,
the
yummy, yum, yum.
I had this tasty pulled pork barbecue. It was tasty with spuds and carrots. And, it was good.
Well, you know, what I planned, I do plan my dinners ahead of time, right? So what happened was I went over and got some hot dogs and buns because the other night I made homemade chili.
There you go.
Which, by the way,
Chili dogs.
it was really good.
There you go.
I posted on Facebook. I said, made homemade chili, and no, you can't have none. So,
yeah, but you put it on the dog, and it's a chili dog.
yeah, that's exactly what I was going to do.
See?
Oh, but I was
Don't
curtailed.
tell me it had beans in it,
Yeah, it did, but I don't mind.
because that does not go on a hot dog.
Yeah, you
It
just take.
does if you want one.
What I do,
That is
what
not the way to do it.
but what I do is I put the beans in my mouth, rinse them out, and spit them.
There you
No,
go.
you know
All
what the
right.
problem is? You put it on a chili dog, and you try to eat it, and the beans go pew, pew, and they go flying out.
But
Now
the
they go
beans are
pew
very
for-
good for you. They give you roughage.
Yeah, boy, I get it's rough any time I eat beans. All right, so what happened was as I bought the hot dogs, and I bought the buns, and I came home, and G told me that
Put 'em in
the
the freezer.
chili is in the freezer.
Oh, Lord.
Uh-oh.
Well, could have thrown it in there and unthawed it.
It was not good.
It's called microwave.
Yeah, no, it was.
You need a
can always
bandsaw.
nuke
You
it.
can cut the portion off and
Yeah.
warm it up.
Yeah.
And I had one of my favorites, grilled chicken.
Did you really?
Yeah, I'm a
Oh,
big
I
chicken.
love
yeah.
grilled chicken.
Yeah.
You're right. You're a
Did-
big chicken.
Did you
yeah.
grill it or did you?
Yeah, he's a big
No, I went to the store. It was they got these special deals.
Jewel.
Is that what they have? Is that what they have at the store?
Yeah, that's right. Yes. Yes.
I had a ribeye steak,
Oh, he would go
and
there.
I had
Look at
corn and a salad
Yeah.
with it.
Say what? Ribeye.
Yep.
I love ribeye. A good ribeye.
Oh, yeah, it was.
Because you
good.
get a funky one sometimes, you know.
I had garlic shrimp.
Was it charcoal?
Ew.
No.
Oh, okay. Well, no, you can't really cook
I
in your
like
baked.
garlic shrimp. too.
But if I could just change the subject, Henry,
Yes,
you have
please.
went to another level with me, man, today.
What?
Coming in here
Oh yes, I
with the fog. Yes, you are now officially
well,
a macho man. Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
I've learned my lesson.
It won't happen again.
No, that's right. That's right. Well,
Yeah, you
enjoy
are-
this day because those days are over with.
I couldn't believe it.
I can't believe it either. But because I got out, I did see a little fog, and I kept on driving. I said it didn't look too bad, and then anyway, I was halfway through. I said I was almost going to go back, but I said, let me persevere.
You know, because I would pick on you.
Yeah, let me
You know,
persevere.
I would.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know
Yeah.
what you're doing.
All right.
Yeah.
But no, but really, if you're not too good driving in the fog, this is not a good day to be out. Believe me.
Well, you did
What
it.
you do
Yeah.
is you find a big semi truck and you
Yeah.
get behind it.
Yes.
But you don't get close to it. You just want to see the red lights.
Yes.
and-
Yeah, and you don't want to be in the red lights. You want to see the red lights.
That's right. Okay.
Because when you jump up there and you're looking at God, you say, "I saw the light."
Okay. Okay. Well, thanks for all the kudos
No,
about this.
you are the macho man. But you said never again.
Okay. All right. Now, now, the thing is, you can't win. Next time, it's like this.
Oh yeah.
You said, "Where's Henry? He should be here."
Oh, of course, you can't win with us. You already know that.
All righty,
Yeah,
but
yeah, it's a done deal.
yeah. But anyway, but you got to use common sense.
Oh yeah. Yep. It is 6:24 in the morning. I better pay some rent, so we have jobs here.
Yes.
And of course, we want to thank our good friends over at Cozy Nook and over at Joe Small Engine Repair. All these folks that support.
All 7 of our sponsors.
Yeah, we're gonna.
Yeah.
Why don't you go for 10, bro? Come on.
Well,
Come on.
You know, the new year coming.
Yeah.
You know, new things happening. And coming up next
So
year is
how
our
did breaking news say I suck, but I got more sponsors than them?
okay.
Yeah.
And of course, coming up in March is our 5th anniversary.
Why is Donna
Yeah.
muted? There she is. Why are you muted?
Somebody's coming.
Did you do it?
No, but I did just now. Okay, here is our sponsors right now.
I hate you.
We want to thank the following businesses for supporting the Dave in the Morning Show. Harvard's Cozy Nook Family Restaurant at 1200 North Division Street in Harvard, Illinois. More information is available on Facebook and at 815-943-7643. Sharon Chamber of Commerce in Sharon, Wisconsin. More information is available on Facebook and at info@sharonchamberofcommerce.com. Sign Crafters in Hebron, Illinois. More information is available on Facebook, signcraftersenterprise.com, and at 815-648-4484. Jim Olson Collision, Pete's Automotive, at 5311 Route 14 in Harvard, Illinois. More information is available on Facebook, JimOlsonCollision.com, and at 815-943-1685. Habitat for Humanity of McHenry County, a nonprofit organization located in McHenry, Illinois. More information is available on Facebook, Instagram, HabitatMcHenry.org, and at 815-759-9002. Pat's Brew & Q, a barbecue restaurant in Sharon, Wisconsin. More information is available on Facebook and at 262-736-2222, press number 1. And Joe's Small Engine Repair at 403 Airport Road in Harvard, Illinois. More information is available on Facebook, jsmallenginerepair.com, and at 815-943-4700.
You got a cute way of talking. You got the better of me. Just snap your fingers and I'm walking like a dog hanging on your lead. I'm in a spinning shaking on a string, you make me feel like dancing. I wanna dance the night away. You make me feel like dancing. I wanna dance the night away. You make me feel like dancing. Oh, I feel like dancing, dancing, dancing the night away. I feel like dancing, dancing. 1, 2, 2, 4 in the morning. You're feeling tight, no. Just hold me tight, live on the line. 'Cause I don't wanna go home. You put a spell on me, right where you want me to be. You make me feel like dancing. I wanna dance the night away. You make me feel like dancing. I wanna dance the night away. You make me feel like dancing. I feel like dancing, dancing, dancing the night away. I feel like dancing, dancing. You make me stay, but as I lies away, you make me feel like dancing. I wanna dance the night away. You make me feel like dancing. I wanna dance the night away. You make me feel like dancing. I wanna dance the night away. You make me feel like dancing. I wanna dance the night away. You make me feel like dancing. I wanna dance the night away. You make me feel like dancing. Oh, I feel like dancing, dancing, dance my life away. I feel like dancing, dancing, dance my life away. I feel like dancing, dancing, dance my life away. I feel like dancing, dancing.
All I'm saying is, it ain't nothing wrong with that. But if you are not in key, please do not stop the music. Y'all know I'm telling the truth. Y'all know I'm telling the truth. I ain't saying you can't never do it, But practice a little bit longer, honey, because if you stop that music, you need to be making a joyful noise. Hey, unto the Lord.
All right, 6:30 in the morning. Fill me up with a weather update coming up. Donna, what do you got?
What? What do you want? What?
What do you got?
I got a recipe.
Cool. All right, we'll be back.
Pressure pushing down on me, pressing down on you. No man has for. Under pressure that burns a building down, splits a family in two, puts people on streets. It's the terror of knowing what this world is about. Watching some good friends screaming, let me out. Tomorrow gets me higher. Pressure on people on the streets. Okay. Chipping around, kick my brains on the floor. These are the days and when it rains about it pours. You don't know. You don't know. You don't know. No. People on the streets. People on the streets. It's a terror of knowing what this world is about. Watching some good friends screaming, let me out. Tomorrow gets me higher. Pressure on people on the streets. Turn away from it all like a blind man. Sat on the fence, but it don't work. Keep coming up with love, but it's so slashed and torn. Insanity loves under pressure, we're cracking. Can we give ourselves one more chance? Why can't we give love that one more chance? Why can't we give love, 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 give love? 'Cause love's such an old-fashioned word, and love tells you to care for the people on the edge of the night, and love tells you to change our way of caring about ourselves. This is our last dance. This is our last dance. This is ourselves. Under pressure. Under pressure. Pressure.
Don't forget to join us every Wednesday from 1 to 3 p.m. with the On a Roll Show with your host, Jay Schultz. Each week, Jay interviews community leaders, addresses topics of interest, and plays your favorite music right here on 101.3 WHIW.
Tune in to Wednesday night for the Best of Broadway show with Henry Stevens. I listen to him all the time. Awesome show.
I said.
Hey, this is Beth Riley from Boppin' with Beth, featuring music from different decades and genres. I also have a Focus Beam segment to educate you on some of your favorite artists, as well as a special Rockabilly Rewind selection. With my music selections, you are sure to be bopping through your day. Tune in Wednesdays at 7 p.m. and Sundays at 8 p.m. on 101.3 FM, WHIW, Harvard Broadcasting.
Hi, my name is Mason James Gardner, and you're listening to my grandpa, Dave in the Morning.
All right, it is 6:35. Mr. O'Brien has arrived. He's set up. We're going to figure out what's going on with him in just a few minutes. Today's Pearl Harbor Day, and he brought in a live torpedo. Excellent. No, Mikey, don't hit that. All right. So let me get Donna up to bat here, because we're going to be busy. I'm telling you right now, we're going to be busy because he's going to get us all mesmerized like he did the last time he was here. Right, Donna?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
You were digging it, weren't you?
I was. Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
But the problem is that I lose track of time and I don't get anything done. You know what I'm saying?
What?
Yeah. It's messing with my religion, man. I'm telling you.
All right, where is my...
All right, so we're going to get... I'll tell you what, let's do Phil first so we can get a quick... Hey, Ed, is it still foggy out there? Yes, very much so. All right, well, we're going to find out a little bit more from Mr. Miha right here. What do you got, bud? Oh, let me crank you up here. Yeah, there you are.
We got a dense fog warning currently until 10 o'clock. Yeah, that too. Currently, it's dense fog and 30 degrees. No wind, and everything is at 30 because the dew point's 30 and it feels like 30, and that's because of 100% humidity.
I got to get the camera changed. Hold on.
Yeah, get that camera changed. Oh, I see. You're going to change it.
Because I got Ed here. I want people to see
close
him.
up. There. How you did it. Hello.
All right.
And it's not my fault.
Do the weather.
I didn't make the fog. I just predicted it.
Do the weather.
I am doing it.
Oh.
Anyways, today we'll have a high of 44 with mostly cloudy skies, dropping back down to 28. And later...
Hey, we're trying to do a show here, Matthews.
Anyways, after 10, then it will be still cloudy out. The clouds will be way up in the sky where they belong. Because these are actually clouds here. They're just low-hanging clouds.
Low-hanging fruit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, on Thursday, we'll have a high of 42, dropping back down to 32. Freezing. And we'll have a little bit of rain during the day. Just a little bit, 90% chance. Then when it gets colder, it's going to switch to snow. Oh, no.
See, I just need a hand come into the picture.
Yeah.
Hey, can you say that one more time?
Snow.
There he is. Don't.
And for 40 degrees for your Friday. See, the temperature's not varying
Marty.
too much.
Tell him what it is.
Snow.
Yeah. Snowy.
Where I don't go.
Okay.
Currently, it's dense fog and 40 degrees here in downtown Harvard, Illinois, and surrounding areas, matter of fact. Back to you, Dave.
All right, thank you, buddy. All right, so I got Donna. You're in luck today there, Ed, because normally you don't get to benefit from our recipe session here with Donna. So yeah, you're gonna love this. Now this is. Do you have something that is like for Pearl Harbor Day or something like that? Maybe hot dogs or something.
Who, me? Hot dogs? I could tell you how to make a hot dog.
Yeah.
Take it out at package
Oh, hold on a
store
second.
and
Hold on a second. We gotta get.
You're a troublemaker.
No, we're just trying to okay. Here comes Frank. Hi, Donna. How are you?
Well, Frank, what's cooking, buddy?
I'm doing well. Hi, Edward. How are you?
Hey, doing fine.
Yes, you are. I love the military outfit. It's wonderful. Don't answer. Don't answer. It's all part of the show.
Okay.
He's getting ready to come over and karate chop me right in the head. Okay. So, Donna, what do you got?
So you want to know how to do a hot dog? I'm going to tell you now. Now I'm going to tell you about the hot dog. All right? Ready, Frank?
Yes, I am.
Because I know you know about the hot dogs. Come on now.
More ways than you know.
Anyway, go to the store, buy a pack of whatever brand you like, come home, open that package up, get you a pot of water,
A pot of
throw
water.
them puppies up in the water. All right, let it boil, boil. All right, now get your mustard out. No ketchup.
Mm-hmm.
Don't put no ketchup on there, baby.
No. Not here you don't.
Chop you up an onion. You can chop you up a little tomato. You can get you some relish and some mustard. Slap it on that hot dog and enjoy with some chips on the side. Back to you, Frank.
Oh, I just love that.
That was a hot dog. baby.
Yes, it was.
On
Well, thank you so
Got
much.
it.
Don't mind her, Edward. He's a little weird. But not as weird as me. All right, thank you, Donna.
You're welcome, Frank. I love your colors.
It's a
today.
bloodline thing.
Yeah. That's the apple tree thing, yeah.
There's something wrong there, right?
All right. It is 6:41 here, and in the studio. Now, the last time you were here, you totally messed us up, man. We were like all entrenched in watching you do your bit. And then today, you're doing it. You're going to do it again to me. I can feel it right now because he's got the uniform on and everything.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. In the studios live. Yes, the one and only Ed O'Brien. So how you doing, bud?
Good morning.
Yeah.
Doing well.
Listen to this. Yeah. Yeah, that's a song. Makes you want to dance, right?
Uh-huh.
Or march.
Yeah. You can tell he's military. I had no idea what it meant. So how's it going, man?
Very good.
Yeah, we appreciate you coming in again today. I figured last time you probably just threw your hands up and say, I'm not coming back to that place. But we enjoyed you here last time. Now, today is a big day. I mean, this is what they call a biggie because we're not going to say celebrating Pearl Harbor. Then we'd be Japanese.
We'll just be remembering it.
Right, yeah. We celebrate. No, we're not, because it was one of the biggest boo-boos that Japan ever made. So anyhow, tell me a little bit about the background here. Of course, anybody that's been around knows, but nobody tells it like you do, buddy.
Well, thank you. To set the stage a little bit for Pearl Harbor, December 7th, 1941, you have to remember where our country was at the time. We were just gradually coming out of the Great Depression.
Yeah.
Jobs were returning. Production was coming up in the automobile business, and farmers were producing, and not too much different than we have it today, except there were serious war clouds gathering in Europe and also in Southeast Asia. And regrettably, people like Adolf Hitler and Benito Mussolini and Hideaki Tojo in Japan were looking at conquering other nations because they wanted their raw materials. They wanted their markets of people that would buy things, also people that would make things for them. And they didn't mind using slave labor if they could capture people and utilize them that way. In Washington, D.C., we had President Franklin D. Roosevelt, who was a very good student of the history of the world, and also had his ear to the ground, so to speak, as to what the dictators were actually up to. Many people were very concerned about the United States getting into the Second World War, and it had already begun as early as 1931 when the Japanese invaded Manchuria and started to set their sights on other Southeastern Asian countries as a source of raw materials. Remember that Japan is an island nation, and they don't have tremendous amount of resources to produce petroleum products and so on. So they were buying them from the United States, and we were selling things to Japan like crude oil and scrap metal and various things like that. President Roosevelt was concerned that they had recently entered into a tripartite pact with Germany and Italy and Japan. And of course, Hitler was always talking about all the Aryans being the master race and so on and so forth, and everyone to be blonde and blue-eyed and so on. And people said, well, how do you include the Japanese people? And he said, well, they're kind of distant cousins.
Ooh.
But see, he was looking for friends. And by 1940, he was seriously looking at extending beyond Poland from 1938-39 into conquering France,
Mhm.
and then he set his sights on England. And with Franklin Roosevelt being pretty much one of the first people that really saw through some of the charades that Hitler was performing, said, we really need to look seriously at protecting and helping England, because once Hitler decided to start bombing England and bomb them into submission and so on with the Blitz, Mr. Roosevelt said, we're going to need to help England, because don't fool yourself, Hitler has big plans, and if he can knock the English out and conquer them, it won't be long and he'll rest a bit, but then he'll be coming after us. So he worked on a deal called Lend-Lease, which sent military goods, planes, tanks, machine guns, and so on, to England to help her arm her country to defend against an attack, which they felt would certainly come. Once, once Germany was able to conquer France, then they had a base of operations. And if you remember that the English Channel separates England and France by about 26 miles. So it wouldn't be very hard to go ahead and bring an invasion force over to the White Cliffs of Dover, so to speak.
Mhm.
As Hitler said, they will soon be ours. England was fortunate in having a pretty feisty prime minister at the time. Winston Churchill said, we will not give up. We'll fight in the fields, we'll fight in the streets, but we will never surrender. And Hitler concentrated on an army and an air force, but he didn't do too much with any type of amphibious ships that could land troops. So he figured he'll just bomb them into submission. President Roosevelt works out a deal where, in exchange for some bases in the Caribbean that England had, the United States would actually loan 50 World War I destroyers to England that they could make use of. And people in the United States and a lot of the congressmen were very upset about that in Washington. Well, I'll take us a step closer to war. He says, if your neighbor had the house next door to you, which he might, and it caught fire, and he needed to try to put the fire out, and he didn't have a long garden hose, would you not be a good neighbor and lend him yours?
Ooh.
That's basically what we're doing with these ships. We're also going to send equipment to help England. Well, it wasn't too long before people started being a little more concerned about what was happening in the Far East with the Japanese on the march, going into French Indochina, which we remember as Vietnam. And then pretty soon they decided they'd take on China and invade there. And as a result, see, if you look back on history, and it's always 20/20 hindsight, more people remember the Second World War as a triumph of the United Nations, which it really was. But one person that held the whole thing together, and I don't think he ever received the credit that he had coming, was President Franklin Roosevelt. He saw the world on a large picture, where some of the other countries just looked at it at themselves. Even Winston Churchill. He was concerned about basically saving England, and he wanted to keep the empire together, and he wanted to put it back together. And his own people defeated him for re-election as prime minister in late 1945, after he led them through the Second World War. While we don't remember too much about Mr. Roosevelt and the conclusion of the wars, he died before it ended in April of 1945. He did not live to see the surrender of the Germans and the Japanese.
Wow.
But he did lay down a great framework for seeing the mistakes of the First World War, that his president that he served under, Woodrow Wilson, went to Paris and talked about peace and setting up a League of Nations. The United States never joined the League of Nations, which would have made a difference, because in 1931, when the Japanese invaded Manchuria, the League of Nations protested that. And Japan says, well, we don't care. We'll just quit the League. We're not involved in it anymore. And when they protested against Hitler's activities beginning in 1933, he said, that doesn't apply to us. And he even broke the treaty of the First World War. The United States never joined the League of Nations, so there was no real power behind it. Mr. Roosevelt set up the framework for an association of nations, as he called the United Nations, and that grew out of the end of the Second World War. But it was part of his dream, because he saw that it failed because America didn't take the leadership that it should have. But in 1940, he also saw that war was coming. He asked that the United States manufacture more tanks, airplanes, more ships, and so on.
Mm-hmm.
He also established in 1940 the American Defense Period, where he went ahead and revised selective service and a draft. And a lot of people were quite a bit concerned about that, because he said, and Mr. Roosevelt was in Chicago, and he made a speech, and he says, we will not get involved in the European wars. I will not send American soldiers to fight in European wars. Well, things changed after the United States was attacked. But in the summer of 1940, and moving on closer to the long-remembered date of December 7th, 1941.
You messed up almost, man. You almost messed up.
Yeah.
You were doing so good. You almost did you catch that, Henry?
Yeah.
Write that down. Put it on the time thing so we can get. Let me take a break real quick.
Okay,
here,
good.
'cause I know you were just getting really, really. I can't believe he missed it. He never misses anything.
Why'd you take a gulp of your water?
Yeah, right.
That'll help.
All right, 6:51, and Ed will be back in just a couple of minutes here. We just want to give him a chance here to figure out what happened on December 7th, right here on the Dave in the Morning Show. We'll be back.
We want to thank the following businesses for supporting the Dave in the Morning Show. Harvard's Cozy Nook Family Restaurant at 1200 North Division Street in Harvard, Illinois. More information is available on Facebook and at 815-943-7643. Sharon Chamber of Commerce in Sharon, Wisconsin. More information is available on Facebook and at info@sharonchamberofcommerce.com. Sign Crafters in Hebron, Illinois. More information is available on Facebook, signcraftersenterprise.com, and at 815-648-4484. Jim Olson Collision, Pete's Automotive, at 5311 Route 14 in Harvard, Illinois. More information is available on Facebook, JimOlsonCollision.com, and at 815-943-1685. Habitat for Humanity of McHenry County, a nonprofit organization located in McHenry, Illinois. More information is available on Facebook, Instagram, HabitatMcHenry.org, and at 815-759-9002. Pat's Brew and Q, a barbecue restaurant in Sharon, Wisconsin. More information is available on Facebook and at 262-736-2222, press number 1. And Joe's Small Engine Repair at 403 Airport Road in Harvard, Illinois. More information is available on Facebook, jsmallenginerepair.com, and at 815-943-4700.
Are you ready? Are you sure? Okay.
I don't feel so good about this.
All right, it is 6:54, and man, what? Did you get that done already? Good. What are you doing, girl? Jeez.
Gotta do what you gotta do.
I hear you. Ed O'Brien's in the studio, and we're all just sitting here with our mouth open, watching him try to figure out how to change from 9/11 over to December 7th. But he did it. He covered himself. Anyhow, Ed, you got a song. Tell me a little bit about this request that you got, bud.
Okay, very popular song that came out in 1940 was mirroring how our nation was adjusting to selective service, where men were registering 18 and above, registering for the draft, where their numbers would be called up and they would go into military service to receive training. President Roosevelt thought that we should prepare for war, hopefully not needing to go to war. Many men, young men across the country and into their late 20s and early 30s were being called to serve for a year active duty.
Oh, that's where it comes from.
And there was a very popular song that was on the jukeboxes and so on and on the radio, and it was recorded with the help of the orchestra of Horace Heidt, and it said, "Goodbye, dear, I'll be back in a year," and was very, very popular, and a lot of people liked it. So it'll kind of tell you the story of kind of how people felt, and there's some humor attached to it, and so on. And there's a nice duet between a young man and a young lady. And
All right, hey Jim, can you put a nickel in the jukebox for me, buddy?
Okay. There it goes.
Goodbye, dear. I'll be back in a year, 'cause I'm in the army now. They took my number right out of a hat, and there's nothing a guy can do about that.
But when you get back, you'll be all tend and brown. Gee, couldn't we buy that cottage right outside of town?
Goodbye, dear. I'll be back in a year. Don't forget that I love you.
Don't fear, dear, I'll be here in a year, 'cause I'm true to the army now.
Ah, what a soldier. You wait and see. Why, I'll be a big gun in the artillery.
Now, honey, be sure and keep cozy and warm. Gee, you look cute in that new uniform.
Oh, goodbye, dear. I'll be back in a year. Don't forget that I love you. Goodbye, dear. Well, I'm here for a year. I'm in the army now. But don't you worry, the general and I are the greatest of pals.
Now, Ronnie, don't you lie.
Well, he fixed it up so I could have breakfast in bed.
Well, why are you peeling potatoes instead?
Oh, he's just kidding. Goodbye, dear. I'll be back in a year. Don't forget that I.
Don't forget that I.
Don't forget that I love you.
There you go. Good job, yeah. So, so that was probably a pretty big popular song.
Very
then.
popular,
Oh,
yes.
Yeah.
And,
Goodbye, dear.
bases across the country were opening again to receive trainees, enlistees, recruits, as they called them. That's the lowest thing you can possibly be when you start out. You have a recruit.
I noticed that Jim's over there snickering because he was in the Army.
That's right. He remembers.
Oh, yeah.
And he knows about how to handle those potato peelers, too.
Oh, yeah. Probably more times than he can tell you.
You never forget.
Oh, yeah.
But anyway, even just west of here at Camp Grant at Rockford, it had been used by the Illinois National Guard during the 1930s. It was recalled into federal service, and it was expanded. And soldiers were reporting for training there, and naval recruits at Great Lakes Naval Training Station at North Chicago. A lot of things were happening, and the National Guard units were all being federalized. And kind of an interesting story that affects both Illinois and Wisconsin, there was a combined tank brigade, the 33rd Division and the 32nd Division from Wisconsin, had tank units. And in late summer of early fall of 1940, there were maneuvers in Louisiana. And one of the people involved in those maneuvers was a colonel, and actually then he became a general, George S. Patton. And George
Really? Wait, hold on a second. George Patton?
Yes.
Seriously?
Yes.
That's awesome. Oh, by the way, Henry, tell them who they're listening to. Ed O'Brien, of course. but-
Yes, that's right. Also, the Dave in the Morning Show, which is a great show that you're listening to.
It's only good because we got Ed on.
Yes, that's right.
Other than that, we're pretty bad.
And you're listening to WHIWLP 101.3 FM, Harvard, Illinois, Harvard Broadcasting.
Go ahead and ask him a question. You
Oh,
want
okay.
Yeah.
Ed, well, and it's hard to believe that song we just heard is that's a world exclusive on the Dave in the Morning
That's
Show.
awesome.
I don't think we've ever played that before.
Nope.
That's 82 years old. That
Yeah.
song.
Right.
Yes, this being 2022.
Jim was around.
Now, giving the math, this is the 81st anniversary
Correct.
of Pearl Harbor. And I asked you a few days ago off air, so if you do the arithmetic, most people would have been, in their, most people still around will probably be in their late 90s.
Yeah, early to late 90s.
Early to late 90s, that's right. Or
reaching the century mark.
Right. And how many people do you think we still have left?
Well,
That's still alive.
When you consider that during the Second World War, 16 million American men and women wore the uniform of our country and served with honor, dignity, and pride.
Yes.
We lost about 400,000 Americans during the Second World War. I would say probably Veterans Administration does indicate that the World War II veterans are leaving us at the rate of 900 to 1,000 a day
Oh, my
because of
goodness.
their age and infirmity and just, that time catches up. Best guesstimate I could make would be probably maybe 200,000 might still be left with us. And, we lose them every day, and it's nice that we still take the time.
And if I could just put my little Dave in the Morning twang on it, that was when it was really the Army. You know what I'm saying? Because back in those days, it was not easy at all. We didn't have remote control things. We didn't have. They had to get out there into the dirt and the mud and with all the different stuff that What are you doing, Jim?
I want to bring attention to this as we're speaking about it. They have a program.
I'm sorry, Ed. He's got it.
There's a program that will be.
He's trying to get in it, so he's sucking up to him. So.
In May 21st to 24th, to take a whole bunch of these vets to Washington.
Yeah.
And they need to. We'll put the number out later after Ed's done, where you can call to check in on that. I checked in on it. They won't take me because I'm not 80 yet.
Oh, okay.
You look it.
You'll be there soon, I think.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Ed. It slips, I've got Tourette's. What can I tell you?
Yeah, this is good.
Yeah.
And, of course, the big Army-Navy game is coming up this Saturday.
Yes.
What does that got to do with what he's here for?
Well, no, I'm just saying because
What?
we'll be remembering. It's an annual event, and they remember all those who've served.
And the tradition for the Army-Navy game, even in Hawaii, they would listen to it as they could or get the information on teletype. And they would be in the people representing the Army would be in stands, and the Navy would be in their stands. And when a football score was made by either Army or Navy, they would trot out their mascot. A mule for the Army and a goat for the Navy.
I've seen that before, back in the day.
So they really followed that, as well as all sports and so on, because the people in Hawaii or the Philippines were far away from home. And basically talking to some World War II vets, and they're not around anymore, but when I was a teacher of history and a principal, I would invite some of the people that I knew to come and talk to the boys and girls on Pearl Harbor Day.
Wow.
And their stories were just fantastic in what they shared. One from the Army and 3 from the Navy, and they had a real dramatic way of telling what happened with them. But for those in Hawaii and those in the Philippines, it was really pretty good duty because you had plenty of native help that you could hire to do all kinds of things for you: shine your shoes, polish your brass, wash your clothes.
Kind of like
press
what
them,
Henry
and so
does for
on.
me.
That's right.
Yes,
That's
okay.
right. Yeah, on a good day when he's cooperative. Yeah.
I told you to keep that a secret.
But as one fellow said, when we were stationed in Hawaii, it was pretty good duty in the Navy because you had your activities that you had to do, your training and so on and so forth, and polishing brass and sweeping up things and swabbing decks and so on, and painting and painting and painting again. That was all during the week. On the weekend, everybody had liberty.
Yeah.
And it didn't take the Japanese long to figure out what our schedule was like, and that they would go ahead and think about planning an attack early on a Sunday morning when most people were sleeping in after celebrating on a Saturday night, shore leave in Hawaii. And the same way in the Philippines and such, too.
Oh, yeah.
But as we move into this period from the 1940s into the 1940 to 1941, President Roosevelt becomes more and more concerned about the Japanese and what they're doing. So he goes ahead and he puts an embargo on sending them any more crude oil. He also will not ship them any more scrap iron, steel pieces that they can use to make weapons and so on. And he says that we need to have Japan move away from their aggressive activities in the Far East. And unless they're going to do that, he will go ahead and freeze all Japanese financial assets in the American banks. Well, the Japanese were a little concerned about that because not too many other people were selling to them. And so as a result, they started taking over places like Java, Borneo, and so on, where they could get a source of rubber and tin and manganese and so on. And they were concerned about that. And also, the oil deposits that were in China were very advantageous for them to have control of, because to feed a war machine, you need to have those things. Excuse me, and they could not produce those things themselves as fast as they needed them. So as Pearl Harbor approaches, you've got Japanese emissaries in Washington, D.C. negotiating on a prolonged time from late October into November and into very early December as to maintaining a balance of peace in the Pacific.
Wow.
And Cordell Hull was Secretary of State at the time, and he was a very good Secretary of State in the fact that he was holding the Japanese feet to the fire and said, these are some demands that we're making, and we need to have some answers from you. In the meantime, it seemed that the Japanese were just stalling and trying to buy time.
Get their boats out there.
and go from there.
Yeah.
But as early as late summer of 1940, the Japanese were entertaining a plan to do what they could to eliminate the threat of the United States Pacific Fleet in Hawaiian Islands. The Pacific Fleet originally was stationed and based at San Francisco. In late 1940, that summer, President Roosevelt said, maybe we should let the Japanese know that we're not messing around on this stuff. And we have interest in the Philippines, and the Hawaiian Islands are close. Also, we have Wake Island and Guam. I'm going to transfer the fleet to Hawaii, to that harbor. And that was a big shot in the arm to Hawaiian Islands because it meant more building, more people being there, and more jobs and so on. So it became a real base for the United States Navy, and it just grew. So the Japanese had seen the English be successful using aerial torpedoes against Italian warships in a bay at Taranto. And the little swordfish biplanes dropped aerial torpedoes that could stay along the surface, and it destroyed 3 of the Italian battleships, and it sunk them there. So Japanese paid close attention to that, and so they started planning an attack on Pearl Harbor with knocking the United States Navy out of this on an early round, and they figured, the Japanese knew they basically could not defeat the United States in a long, prolonged battle and war, because we had the ability to manufacture anything we needed. We had manpower. We had the support of people and so on.
And don't forget, we had that big bomb.
Well, that didn't come about till later, much later.
Oh, see, that's when I don't know my history that well.
That's why Ed's here.
Because we originally were somewhat ignorant of this bomb until a fellow came to the United States in the late 1920s. His name was Albert Einstein. And Einstein wrote a letter to Franklin Roosevelt around 1935, and he told him that you might need to start working on developing a weapon similar to what Nazi German scientists are doing, and to use and harness atomic power to create a superweapon.
Boy, was he right.
And, well, President Roosevelt thought it was worth looking into. So he did appoint a United States general, Leslie Groves, to look into what was called the Manhattan Project. And they started developing some of the things that were going to lead to what happened at Los Alamos when they had the bomb. And, of course, when President Truman takes over after Mr. Roosevelt, unfortunately and untimely, dies in April of 1945, now President Truman says to Mrs. Roosevelt, he says, "What can we do to help you?" She says, "No, Harry, what can we do to help you? You're the one that's in trouble now. You're the president."
That's pretty big.
And it wasn't until a couple of weeks into Truman's administration that people on the military staff told him, as you're looking at the war and Japan was still actively fighting, Germany had surrendered in May of 1945, but they were looking for a way to try to end the Second World War. And then they told President Truman that there was this weapon that had been developed, and would you consider using it? And to Harry Truman's credit, he went ahead and said, yes, we'll use it. We'll use it to end the war, to save thousands of lives, hundreds of thousands of lives of Japanese and American and English soldiers that are fighting. My dad was on Okinawa at the time. He served in the Second World War, United States Navy, but as he says, anytime anybody talks badly about that atomic bomb, he says, I'd like to talk to him. He says, because we were on Okinawa and we were getting ready late that summer for an invasion of the Japanese home islands, and it was called Operation Olympic. It was going to happen in October of 1945. Because the Japanese, the warlords, and Tojo and some of the emperor was just a figurehead at this time. He was not really pulling any
It's kind of like the
strings.
queen.
That's right. And the military junta was pretty much controlling what was going on in Japan. And even one of the key admirals, Admiral Asorko Yamamoto, he had spent time in the United States in the 1920s as an attaché in Washington, D.C. He liked the American public. He liked the people he met. He enjoyed going down to Harvard University, and he learned to play poker, and he was able to increase his take-home pay, so to speak, because he learned how to skin a lot of these rich boys that were playing poker in the dorms at Harvard University because he had a poker face.
Oh, that's where that came from, huh?
And he could really bluff them.
Right.
So he said, when the Japanese warlords and the military ordered him to plan the attack on Pearl Harbor, which he did do, he said, this is not, well, the plan was, we can't defeat the United States in a long war, and they're going to make us stop extending our Co-East Asia prosperity sphere. So we're going to have to take out the battleship fleet. That's all we got to worry about. And there's 3 aircraft carriers at Pearl Harbor. We're going to take them out. But what we're going to do is use aerial torpedoes that we can put wooden fins on the back. So when you drop the torpedoes, they don't drop down.
They just kind of run across the top, didn't they?
Right.
Yeah.
They'll just drop below the surface, pop back up, and go, and hit the hit the hull of the vessels. And so they were working on that. But they had a model that they had put together, and they even had on the flagship and one of the carriers, the Akagi, they had miniature of Pearl Harbor, and they would change it every day as their spies gave them more and more information. And they kind of felt some things were up at the time because they started getting some rattling on the codes. And the Japanese had an imperial military code that they were using, and putting that out with Morse code and intercepts and so on. But the United States Navy was pretty much ahead of the game. Commander Rochford, he was a cryptologist.
A what?
A cryptologist.
Isn't that what Jim is? Aren't you a
He analyzes codes.
Yeah, he analyzes food labels
and stocks and bonds.
Let me put a stop to you for a second here. Let you get a break. Okay. I got to get out of here, but Henry's going to take over. But I got a song I want to give to you today.
Okay.
And it's not as good as that other one, but you'll remember this one.
He was a famous trumpet man from out Chicago way. He had a boogie style that no one else could play. He was the top man at his craft. But then his number came up and he was gone with the draft. He's in the army now, a blowin' reveille. He's the boogie-woogie bugle boy of Company B. They made him blow a bugle for his Uncle Sam. It really brought him down because he couldn't jam. The captain seemed to understand, because the next day the cap went out and drafted a band. And now the company jumps when he plays reveille. He's the boogie-woogie bugle boy of Company B. A toot, a toot, a toot-a-toot, he blows it eight to the bar. In boogie rhythm, he can't blow a note unless the bass and guitar is playing with him. He makes the company jump when he plays reveille. He's the boogie-woogie bugle boy of Company B. He was a boogie-woogie bugle boy of Company B. And when he plays boogie-woogie bugle, he was busy as a bzz bee. And when he plays, he makes the company jump eight to the bar. He's a boogie-woogie bugle boy of Company B. Do-do-do-do-da-da, do-da-da, do-do, he blows it eight to the bar. He can't blow a note if the bass and guitar isn't with him. And the company jumps when he plays reveille. He's a boogie-woogie bugle boy of Company B. To sleep with Boogie every night and wakes them up the same way in the early bright. They clap their hands and stamp their feet because they know how he plays. When someone gives him a beat, he really breaks it up when he plays reveille. He's the boogie-woogie bugle boy of Company B. Jumps when he plays reveille. He's the boogie-woogie bugle boy of Company B.
And we are back, and here's another tune for you.
We'll meet again. Don't know where, don't know when, but I know we'll meet again some sunny day. Keep smiling through, just like you always do, till the blue skies drive the dark clouds far away. So will you please say hello to the folks that I know
again. Don't know where, don't know when, but I know we'll meet again some sunny day. We'll meet again, don't know where, don't know when, but I know we'll meet again some sunny day. Keep smiling through, just like you always do, till the blue skies drive the dark clouds far away. So will you please say hello to the folks that I know? Tell them I won't be long. They'll be happy to know that as you saw me go, I was singing this song. We'll meet again. Don't know where, don't know when, but I know we'll meet again some sunny
We want to thank the following businesses for supporting the Dave in the Morning Show. Joe Small Engine Repair at 403 Airport Road in Harvard, Illinois. More information is available on Facebook, jsmallenginerepair.com, and at 815-943-4700. Habitat for Humanity of McHenry County, a nonprofit organization located in McHenry, Illinois. More information is available on Facebook, Instagram, habitatmchenry.org, and at 815-759-9002. Pat's Brew and Q, a barbecue restaurant in Sharon, Wisconsin. More information is available on Facebook and at 262-736-2222, press number 1. Sign Crafters in Hebron, Illinois. More information is available on Facebook, signcraftersenterprise.com, and at 815-648-4484. Sharon Chamber of Commerce in Sharon, Wisconsin. More information is available on Facebook and info at sharonchamberofcommerce.com. Jim Olson Collision, Pete's Automotive at 5311 Route 14 in Harvard, Illinois. More information is available on Facebook, JimOlsonCollision.com, and at 815-943-1685. And Harvard's Cozy Nook Family Restaurant at 1200 North Division Street in Harvard, Illinois. More information is available on Facebook and at 815-943-7643. And we are back, and Phil?
There we go.
I was just checking out the window. The fog is still here. What's going on?
Yeah, it's going to be here until about 10 o'clock.
Wow.
Then the sun will
I'll be here too.
burn it off, yeah. Currently it's 30 degrees and dense fog morning still. We have calm winds, obviously, and it feels like 30, and the dew point's 30. That's because it's foggy. It makes it... when the dew point and the temperature come together, it forms fog down low. Actually, just low-hanging clouds. But today we'll get warmer, up to 44 today, with mostly cloudy skies. Then we'll go down to 28. And on your Thursday, we'll have a high of 42. And get only a low of 32, with some PM showers. Then on into Friday, we'll have rain and snow.
Oh, no.
Yeah. 80% chance. So we should get a little bit of accumulating snow.
That's all it takes for me.
Yeah. Currently, it's foggy and 30 degrees in downtown Harvard, Illinois, and surrounding areas. Back to you, Henry.
Thank you, Phil, for that. It is 7:25 now. Before we get to Ed O'Brien, just a quick reminder. of some of the great shows we have coming up on the WHIW 101.3 FM today on this Wednesday, December 7th, Pearl Harbor Day. Also, reminder, today is your last day for Medicare. You know, there's a special advantage plans. Today is the last day for enrollment, so I just want to remind you for all you Social Security people out there. And anyway, but coming up, we have some great shows, as I mentioned. At 1 o'clock, it's On a Roll with Jay Schultz. On the show today, Jay tells me at 1 o'clock he'll be having Cinema Talk, I believe with Michelle and Bruce as well. And they'll be talking about some twisted Christmas films over the years. Christmas films that have kind of a twist to it.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I wonder what they're going to be talking about. Well, tune in at 1, you'll find out. And then at 2 o'clock on the show, he'll have his weekly movie update from Classic Cinemas in Woodstock. Okay, so that's today from 1 to 3 or so. And I'll be back tonight at 6 for the Best of Broadway. And tune in tonight. You'll find out what music I'll be playing because I'm still working on the show. I'm not sure yet. But Ed, you're a big Broadway fan.
Somewhat, yeah.
Okay, that's all right.
Somewhat.
I've not got there, but
you haven't. You haven't made it to Broadway?
No, I have not. Chicago Broadway, yeah.
That's right. Well, there's Broadway in Chicago. You don't have to go to New York. You know, and there's a lot of there's local theater in Woodstock, the Woodstock Opera House, and I believe they're having the Nutcracker.
Yes, that's
this weekend.
We've seen that. It's very good.
Yes,
children have liked it.
I have a cousin that haunts the place.
Haunts the place? Yeah.
Elvira.
Yeah.
Elvira Baker.
Yeah. And I have 2 nieces who are performing in the cast this year, so it'll be very interesting.
Cool.
Anyway, so that's coming up at 6 tonight, and then right after I'm done, it's Beth Riley, Boppin' with Beth. She'll be on at 7 o'clock tonight, so listen to that show. Okay, so it is back time now to Ed O'Brien. Of course, it's December 7th, 2022, but on December 7th, 1941, the attack of Pearl Harbor started, and it's hard to believe today is the 81st anniversary of that event. And Ed, as you just mentioned, there's still several thousand people, quite a few people still around who are still alive from that attack.
Right.
Yep, during that time. So where do we leave off? I guess we're going to get into the specifics of the attack?
Correct, yes. Well, as I had said, the Japanese were planning an attack on the United States fleet at Pearl Harbor because it had been just moved there within the last 6 months to a year from its previous location in San Francisco. But President Roosevelt ordered that as a show of force and to a warning to the Japanese that we did have military and naval capabilities that you might want to be careful how you react and how you treat the United States in future negotiations. The Japanese knew only too well that they would not win a prolonged war against the United States because of our ability to manufacture whatever we needed to build. And we eventually had to prove that to them. But what they hoped to do with the attack on Pearl Harbor was to just knock out key components of the Pacific Fleet, and especially to take out the 3 aircraft carriers that from time to time would be berthed in Pearl Harbor. Well, on the morning of December 7th, the United States won the first round of the attacks on Pearl Harbor. So the first opening shot of World War II against the Japanese was fired by an American destroyer, the USS Ward. One of the minesweepers that was coming into the harbor, the harbor itself is only 40 feet deep. So there's not a lot of depth to that harbor.
Wow.
So when the ships were, I'll get to that in a minute, but they had an anti-submarine net that they would pull across the narrow entrance to the harbor because there was a threat that the Navy was monitoring, that there might be an effort to damage ships or something like that. Also, they, as peace negotiations were going on in Washington, D.C., as kind of a feigned attempt to keep the Americans off balance by the Japanese, information went out from some of the decoding information that the Navy had. They called the decoding device that they had created, called it Operation Magic. And Magic had a purple code and a red code. The red code was more for diplomatic things. The purple code was for the military, the Army and Navy of the Japanese. And they were starting to get feedback of a lot of activities, and one of the messages was east wind rain. And they felt that that was a code to the Japanese, that the Japanese military, that where the attack would take place. And they thought quite possibly the attack would be against the British bases at Singapore, or it might be in the Philippines. Another bit of information that came in shortly before Pearl Harbor from English sources to the Americans was, you might want to be have a little more protection around the Panama Canal, because the word was that German saboteurs were going to blow the locks, and that way we couldn't balance the fleet and move things back and forth. So actually, more people, as my dad said, more people at Fort Armador and the Marine and Navy garrisons in Panama were on high alert for December 7th, that whole weekend, because they feared that would be some effort on the part of the German saboteurs to either send people in to use dynamite or take a plane and drop a bomb and so on. And they set up concentric circles. If you were to fly an airplane within 200 miles of the Panama Canal, they would attempt to contact you on radio. If you didn't identify on 150 miles, if you broke that circle, they would consider sending pursuit planes up that would maybe escort you. And if you didn't identify as you broke the 100-mile, then they felt that you were probably up to no good and they were going to take the plane down. So that never materialized. But what happened with Japan, their plan was to knock the United States fleet out, disable it. In other words, to give the United States a bloody nose. And then they would leave the Japanese alone, let them do what they wanted. And of course, things went very well for the Japanese with Pearl Harbor. They caught the United States totally off guard there, but it almost didn't work that way. When the destroyer Ward was told about seeing a periscope sighting in the outer harbor channel, they fired at this midget sub. They also hit it near the little tower, the conning tower, and it tried to submerge, and they went over it and they rolled depth charges on it. And then pretty soon oil slicks came up and so on. So they reported to the Navy base there, whoever was on watch, they had sighted a sub entering the harbor, and they believe they have sunk it. A short time after that, there was a radar station that was up on Coley Point, and they had two enlisted men, a sergeant and a private, that were monitoring the oscilloscope and watching these radar blips come in. They saw quite a bit of activity, and this was about 6:45 that morning, and or I should say 7:45 that morning. They contacted Army Air Corps headquarters, and there was a lieutenant on duty there, and he says, "What's going on? What's your problem?" "Well, I'm seeing large amount of activity on my screen." And they said, "Oh, we're expecting about 20 B-17s to come in from the mainland, in from California. So that's probably what you're seeing. Hey, have you guys had breakfast yet?" "No, we haven't." He said, "Well, shut down your station and come on in."
Wow.
So they did. But actually what they saw was the beginning of the Japanese assault with their bombers and their fighter planes coming in from their three carriers.
And this was around, 7:45 in the morning?
Right, 7:45.
Okay. And even though that it was not unusual to have other aircraft from the American forces to come in on a Sunday morning?
Apparently, it was not generally well known that they were coming.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So, because you didn't want to put out a lot of information, because they feared that Japanese were collecting information to feed back to their military people, their embassy, and so on.
Okay.
A lot of spies on both sides at the time. So that was kind of ignored. So they came in and didn't worry about it, and so on. But the first blow was struck by the destroyer Ward on sinking a Japanese sub, one of the mini subs that they had. And the Japanese had 3 aircraft carriers, and they had torpedo bombers, and they had their fighters, and they had their regular attack aircraft, and they did a number. They had from their pattern, they were assigned certain ships to go after, and it was exactly as their spies reported which ship was where. And at Battleship Row, right around Ford Island, you had Arizona, and you had the Tennessee, and Maryland, and the California, the Oklahoma, West Virginia, the Vestral, and Nevada. And many of these ships, the battleships, were all named after states. Some of the cruisers were named after cities.
Right.
And as a result, the United States Navy had just about 175 ships based in and around that harbor, but they only went after the big ones. And when the first wave of Japanese planes returned, and they were asked, well, did you get the carriers? Carriers weren't there. Aircraft carriers that were supposed to be at Pearl Harbor were taken out the day before by Admiral Halsey, and they went on a mission to resupply Wake Island with some fighter planes, which they did, and Midway Island. And as a result, it kind of shortened the duration of the attack with Admiral Nagumo and so on, because they were a little afraid, hey, if the carriers aren't there, those American carriers are someplace in Pacific waters, if they get back or they get notification of this, they'll be sending their planes, which the United States Navy planes off some of the carriers, when they found out about the Pearl Harbor attack, they did come back up into the area. Now, those B-17s that were flying in, they had to do evasive work because they didn't have any ammunition in their machine guns.
Wow.
So they tried to land on the fields already being bombed. And if you remember, total casualties for Pearl Harbor battle, 2,400 people were killed. Of the people killed, 1,177 were on board the Arizona. And when the Arizona was hit, one of the bombs penetrated the teak deck, and it detonated right over the powder magazines. So that's what popped the ship up out of the water, and then it settled. And the guys on that ship never had a chance, unfortunately. So that is still a bone of contention, and some people say, well, President Roosevelt wanted to get us in the war and he knew all about it. No, the president really loved the United States Navy. He was Secretary of the Navy, Assistant Secretary in World War I, and he was instrumental for building up the fleet. And when the word went out, Pearl Harbor, this is an attack, it's not a drill, people were scrambling to get anything. One of the fellows that talked to my students at the Sherland School District, and later Brother Dutton in Beloit, Fred Stevenson, he was on board a repair ship, the Regal, and they had just put their flag up at 5 minutes after 8. Well, at 8 o'clock they put the flag up, and then they see these planes coming. They said, that's a heck of a time for the Army to be having maneuvers and such, because there were pursuit planes. There were 4 different airfields in and around Pearl Harbor, 1 for the Marines, 2 for the Army, and 1 for the Navy. And as those planes came over, the Japanese planes, until they saw that the bottom wing had the meatballs, the red, the rising sun that denoted Japanese planes,
yes,
they didn't know what was going on. They said, boy, this is pretty realistic. They're dropping things in the water and stuff's blowing up and so on. Then they saw there were torpedoes, and like for the Arizona was sunk, but also the Oklahoma took 4 torpedoes right into the side. And as it sunk, it turned over on its side and trapped a lot of people below decks.
Again, they had no chance at all.
They couldn't get out, no. There was very little, well, the other part is too, the Japanese came back a second wave with their fighters, and then a third group came in, and they were going to devastate some more, but the Japanese admiral in charge of that task force says, we don't know where the American carriers are. Let's get out of here. The American forces were afraid that the Japanese would land their Marines or military soldiers and try to take over the island, but that never really happened. The Japanese hightailed it out. And then the next day, when the American carriers returned, they saw the devastation. And it was hard to recover from that, but we were fortunate in the fact that a couple things went our way. Number one, the Japanese didn't pursue the attack longer than they did. Within about an hour and 15 minutes, it was all done.
But that's all it was. Wow.
That's all it took to damage and President Roosevelt. You talk about just covering the news or managing it. He didn't tell the American people how badly the fleet was damaged. He
Wow.
says, we have lost some lives, we have some ships that were damaged, and so on.
But he didn't go into the specifics of it.
No, he
okay,
didn't,
yeah.
because he didn't want to destroy the morale of the American people at the time. And he wrote several speeches and gave several speeches during his 12 years in office. And the only one he totally wrote by himself was the Pearl Harbor Day address, because he was so infuriated at the Japanese that they would be deceiving our country and trying to trick us that they're talking peace, and in the meantime they're sending a carrier force to destroy the naval base at Pearl Harbor. But with the Japanese not coming back to do more destructive things, they ignored the tank farms that were north of Pearl Harbor and to the northeast, and it was hundreds of thousands of gallons of aviation fuel, regular gasoline that was there stored on the island. They also didn't destroy the shops and repair facilities at Ford Island.
Right.
So within the next day, when they got the fires put out and they tried to find as many wounded as they could, they went ahead and started working on repairing the ships and raising them. With the exception of the Arizona and the Oklahoma and the target ship, the Utah, all the other battleships that were hit and destroyed or partially destroyed at Pearl Harbor were all repaired, retrofitted, and went again out to fight against the Japanese in World War II. The Arizona they left as a tomb for those 1,177 sailors that lost their lives that day.
And people could still see it today.
Oh, yes. It's a very popular site to visit in Hawaii.
And I'm sure, the Pearl Harbor site, and I'm sure there will be some ceremony today?
Yes.
Yes.
There
Okay.
always is.
Okay.
The Survivors Association.
Okay.
As Fred Stevenson told the boys and girls at my school, he says, we had just got our flag up. Some of the crew that were coming back from Liberty later in the day didn't have a ship to come back to because they were on fire. And so people were immediately there trying to get people out, get people that were bobbing around in the floating oil and burning oil, and get them to the aid stations and so on. And they were using, trying to get blood from people, and they didn't have enough containers, so they started using empty Coca-Cola bottles and getting blood that they were for transfusions and such. Tremendous amount of work there. Alerts went out to the Philippine Islands, and one fellow that was in charge of American forces there was General Douglas MacArthur. And
you have a picture? Yeah.
Oh yeah. And he was kind of the first hero of the Second World War as far as the American people were concerned, because he actually put up some resistance to the Japanese. They could not defend the Philippines for long because they could not reinforce them. There was no way they could send convoys down there at the time. So part of what happened too, and I told you about the maneuvers from 1940 in Louisiana, the two tank battalions from Illinois and from Janesville, Wisconsin, Maywood, Illinois, Janesville, Wisconsin, were performing very well at those maneuvers. In fact, they won special recognition pennants. So then when it looked like they were going to need more people to train the Filipino Army under General MacArthur and his American forces, the United States government requested that these two crack tank battalions be sent to the Philippines, which they were in October of 1941. So they happened to be there just when the Japanese attacked December 8th, which was the next day on our calendar.
Yes. By the way, speaking of the next day, now you alluded to Franklin Delano Roosevelt's speech. I have a little bit of that speech.
Yes.
Now, he says those are mortar words at the beginning of the speech?
Yesterday, December 7th, 1941.
Okay, well, let's see if we can play a little bit of that.
December 8th, 1941. Today, the Congress of the United States convenes in a solemn joint session. A session that will hear the President of the United States
They made the
deliver his
address the
message
next
will
day.
ask for a declaration of war with Japan. The House chamber, always looking small and overcrowded, has today attained a dignity that overcomes even the great girders that temporarily support the glass roof of the chamber. The gallery started filling early this morning and, of course, are now packed. To witness this historic occasion are most of the dignitaries and officials of the Capitol. At 12 o'clock, the Speaker of the House, Sam Rayburn, called the House to order after a brief prayer by the chaplain of the House, Dr. James Sherrill Montgomery. The House passed the resolution which provided for the joint session and then recessed until the call of the chair, which is expected shortly before 12:30. The Supreme Court at this time, I believe, is walking into the chamber, and the cabinet is also coming in at this time. And so after they come
This
in,
was on radio,
the President of the
yes.
United States will arrive, and at that time we intend to turn you over to the Speaker's platform. We take you now to the Speaker's platform as the President is arriving.
Senators and representatives, I have the distinguished honor of presenting the President of the United States.
A round of applause. Yes.
Mr. Vice President, Mr. Speaker, members of the Senate, of the House of Representatives, yesterday, December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy. The United States of America was suddenly and deliberately attacked by naval and air forces of the Empire of Japan. The United States was at peace with that nation.
Okay, anyway, we don't have time to play the whole speech, but we just wanted to give you a little color of what it sounded like. And looking, boy, what a change from 81 years ago, looking at the House chamber with all the men. And,
a
lot of
ladies
changes.
there now.
What?
A lot of ladies.
Yeah,
there
and
now.
the diversity is unbelievable nowadays. And
much so.
yeah, so anyway, but the times have really changed. So Ed, so I was just wondering, I guess he didn't give a speech that day. I guess he waited for the next day because he wanted to get all the facts.
Right.
Go
As much as he
Yeah.
could, but he also, that evening of December 7th, he wrote the speech.
Yes.
Himself and made several corrections on it and so on and so forth. But he was so outraged that the Japanese would deceive the Secretary of State, the United States, and take this aggressive path when they were feigning peace and claiming to do that. Also, lasting contribution from President Roosevelt in the summer of 1940, as all these young men were going into military service, he decided to create a new organization that would support service people and their families. He organized and created the USO.
Oh, yes.
United Service Organizations, where World War I we had Knights of Columbus and the YMCA and Jewish Federation and all kinds of other church-related groups that were helping the soldiers and sailors and Marines. Mr. Roosevelt thought it would be a better idea to have one umbrella organization that people could actually contribute to and support the efforts.
Right, and I believe Bob Hope was involved with the
very
USO
much, very much
over the
involved.
years. He, a great entertainer he was, but he would always visit during wartime, and over the years. Yes, Ed. Now, let's see. We have a little more time. Tell us what remnants you have there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing, too, I wanted to just mention that
Yeah.
the United States, for people that were around at the time, as my mother and my dad later told me,
right,
everybody, to just about 100%, maybe 98%, after the Pearl Harbor attack, it really galvanized the American people.
Yes.
And it brought about a sense of urgency, patriotism, and the effort to support the president and the country for whatever we needed. And as President Roosevelt said, we're in this to win it. And as he said at the end, he said, with the unbounding determination of our people and with the support and confidence in our armed forces, we will win the inevitable triumph, so help us God. And Roosevelt was maybe not the most showy, but he had a firm belief in the supreme being that, we all should consult from time to time. And he felt that since America was on the right, we would prevail, and we did. And his contribution, and also too, not like some of the people today that are good high positions in politics. Franklin Roosevelt had 4 sons. All of them served in combat during World War II.
Oh, I didn't know that. Wow.
One was a Marine raider, James, and he was involved in the Macon Island raid. Another was eventually a brigadier general in the Air Force. In fact, Brigadier General James Roosevelt later served as governor of California. His 2 other sons, one in the Army and the other in the Navy as well, all of them received citations for their bravery, and he didn't get them special assignments to where they were camped in Washington, D.C., going to bond rallies and such. It was important to support the country, and he set that example. His daughter was a cadet nurse in the nursing program. Eleanor Roosevelt visited some of the hospitals in the South Pacific and here in the United States. She was involved with the Red Cross. And as Mr. Roosevelt said, we've got to support our people, and I know that we will. At the start of work days after this Pearl Harbor attack, Sammy Kaye and his orchestra had a song too. It was called Remember Pearl Harbor. And they would play that at Western Electric in Chicago and some other locations when people would be reporting for work in the morning, punching the time clock. That Remember Pearl Harbor song came on.
Yeah,
and they would play it.
Yeah. Well, speaking of playing, let's see. Maybe we could play a little bit of that. Let's see.
There you go.
Yeah.
That started the work day for a lot of people in the plants.
History in every century records an act that lives forevermore. We'll recall as into line we fall the thing that happened on Hawaii shore. Let's remember
very inspiring
Pearl
tune.
Harbor as we go to meet the foe. Let's remember Pearl Harbor as we did the Alamo.
Okay, so they would play that every day to start the work
Start
day.
the day.
Yeah,
right.
how about that?
And people were encouraged to buy bonds.
Yes.
And boys and girls were encouraged to save newspapers, rags, scrap metal, tin cans.
Right.
When your mom would go ahead and make bacon and eggs on a Saturday or Sunday morning, she would strain off any of the grease and put that in a container, and then take that when you go to the grocery store and you give that to the grocer. And then they would collect that, and it would be picked up by the government. They used the bacon fat and fats from juices of meats and so on to make nitrates for ammunition and such like that.
And there was so much rationing going on, too,
Rationing,
during the war.
You were rationed to 10 gallons of gas a week.
What gas cost back then?
It was quite low.
Yeah.
About 29 cents a gallon.
Okay, right.
And sometimes cheaper, but you can only get 10 gallons. And victory speed, as they called it, was 35 miles an hour.
Wow.
You should not drive faster than that. Also, tires were rationed, and when they wore out, you were walking, because unless you were a government official or a city inspector or a doctor or a dentist, you could not have access to some of these things. Another thing that the boys and girls missed quickly was if you had money and went to the store, you probably couldn't always buy candy because it was in limited supply because it was used for the soldiers. Harvard got started with the idea of milk days because in 1942 the farmers organized through the Pure Milk Association an effort to increase the production on the dairy farms of milk and dairy products.
But that was the first year,
1942.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
And then it continued ever since, yes.
And Bowman Dairy made powdered milk that they sent overseas to the fighting forces.
Okay. Ed, we got about a minute or so. Why don't you tell us about...
some things that came
I'd say we could go another hour. But
some things that came out of World War II were good things, like the advancement of penicillin.
Yes.
The advancement of better surgical procedures. But there was a fellow that grew up in Harvard. His name was Paul Galvin. And in World War I, he was a communications officer in France with the United States Army. He worked with wireless and the telephone system there. When he had a company he developed in Chicago called Galvin Radio,
Right.
he also invented the radio that went in cars called Motorola. And they asked him to work on something that would help the soldiers communicate on the battlefield. Well, he came up with, this is a little larger than the first one, but he called it a handy-talkie.
Yes.
It ran off of 6 D-cell batteries.
Wow.
And if you take this part out, it becomes the antenna. And Jim used some similar to this, and I used some that had more of a receiver
Wow.
when I was in the Army. But this had a range of about a mile and a half. And if you were in high country where you were up on the top of hills, you could sometimes get 2.25 miles with this. But you would set your frequency, and you would talk into it, and then...
You've come a long way.
Yeah, but this is the grandfather of your cell phone.
Well, it looked like one of the cell phones that we
Yeah.
had.
First brick phones.
And in today's Army, they, of course, had the cell phones.
They have
Yeah.
cell phones
Yeah.
and the more instantaneous communication, but we also come up with things like the word for Jeeps, with those little cars were originally called GP,
Right.
General Purpose Vehicles, and so on. And there was a company that was around for a long time, Radio Shack.
Yeah.
That's what they used to call the Radio Shack.
okay, yeah, that's how that got
communications
started.
building.
Wow.
And some things that my dad was
Your
real proud of.
chapeau?
This is his Donald Duck hat.
Yes, okay.
For dress services and so on. They use dogs for messaging. This is a dog message collar.
Wow.
And this particular one is the knife my dad carried in the South Pacific.
Wow.
It's a Mark I U.S. Navy knife. And like he said, it was always loaded and ready to go. And for those that served in the Second World War, as the war ended, victory medals were given. And as a tribute to President Roosevelt for his 4 freedoms, on the back of these medals, they all said freedom of fear
Right.
and freedom from what? Freedom of speech and freedom of religion. And these were awarded to all of the American servicemen and women that served in and during World War II.
Okay. Ed, we're going to stop it there for a second. We'll do a final close in just a moment. But very quickly, I want to do our features, and I could do it in a few minutes. Today's December 7th. The state of 1787, Delaware became the first state to ratify the U.S. Constitution, becoming the first state of the United States. And, of course, on this date of 1941, Pearl Harbor, located on the Hawaiian island of Oahu, was attacked by nearly 200 Japanese warplanes. The attack resulted in the U.S. entering World War II. On this date of 1946, a fire at the Winecoff Hotel in Atlanta, Georgia, killed 119 people. It was America's worst hotel fire disaster. The hotel founder, W. Frank Winecoff, was also killed in the fire. In 1972, 50 years ago today, Apollo 17 was launched at Cape Canaveral. It was the last U.S. moon mission. And in 1988, an estimated 25,000 people were killed when a major earthquake hit northern Armenia in the Soviet Union. The quake measured 6.9 on the Richter scale. On this day in music history, on December 7th, in 1963, the Beatles appeared on the British TV show Jukebox Jury. In 1966, Nancy Sinatra appeared on Frank Sinatra, A Man and His Music Part 2 on CBS TV. In 1984, Michael Jackson testified in Chicago that he wrote the song The Girl Is Mine, Not an Illinois Man. Jackson won the case. In 1996, Jerry Lewis' white and red pinstriped devil suit was stolen from his dressing room at Shea's Performing Arts Center in Buffalo, New York. Lewis needed the costume, valued at $9,000, to play the role of Satan in the musical Damn Yankees. And on this date in 1999, Blue Man Group released their debut album entitled Audio. Today's celebrity birthdays. Today, bassist Tim Butler of Psychedelic Furs is 64. Singer Tom Waits is 73. Country singer Gary Morris is 74. Actress Ellen Burstyn is 90, and bluegrass singer Bobby Osborne of the Osborne Brothers is 91. And I got a minute to go, so I got it all in. Now, Ed, before we close the show, again, every year, now I guess every 5 years they have the milestone anniversary. Like last year was the 80th anniversary, and I guess, 4 years from now they'll have one for the 85th special things?
They still have ceremonies in Pearl Harbor today.
Right.
Where they will honor any of the survivors that are able to attend, but many of them, because of age, unless they live in Hawaii, they can't get there.
That's true. It takes long.
Jim wanted to tell you something else.
Yes, they also have people that were a part of that ship that did survive, that
Right.
have been out on leave, they have their ashes dumped there.
Okay. All right. Okay, and Ed, we thank you. As I said, we could go on another hour. There's so much to talk about. But if I know that as an historian, you do give talks, how can people get in contact with you?
If they'd like, they can contact me at my home, and the phone number would be 815 area code, and the number 943-5782.
Okay.
And just last week, I had the opportunity to be down to Marengo High School, and I talked with 2 classes on the Union efforts and the life of a Union soldier in the Civil War.
Wow.
So it was a fun time to be back with high school students again, and they were very receptive to what I had to share. And on Veterans Day, Old Armistice Day,
just a month ago,
after I was here and talked on the radio that afternoon, I spoke to the entire student body and staff at Richmond Burton High School.
Wow.
And gave them my message about Veterans Day, Armistice Day, and the traditions of our country.
Okay.
And just to remember, we're the only nation in recorded history that ever defeated countries in wartime and then helped them to rebuild their economies afterward with Japan and Germany.
And Phil, you had something to say?
You are listening to HIWLP, Harvard, Illinois, Harvard Broadcasting.
Yes, Jim?
I want to give out this phone number.
Go ahead.
For anybody that was a veteran and that is reaching the age of 80. Call Mark at 606-207-8319. That would be Mark. Call him at 608-207-8319.
Okay. Well, thank you for that.
And that's for the Vets Roll program.
Yes.
So you take
And again,
that-
you have to be at least 80, you were saying.
Well, yes. This is basically they want to get everybody that is 80 that had been
right
in for the long haul.
Yes. And Phil, a quick weather update? Yes.
Still have some dense fog out there and a temperature of 32. Only going to be 44 today, and eventually it's all going to burn off by 10 o'clock.
Okay, but it's
Be
tough
careful
out there.
out there.
Yeah, it's still kind of foggy.
Yeah.
Okay, and of course, very quickly, want to thank the sponsors of the Day with the Morning Show. Harvard's Cozy Nook Family Restaurant in Harvard, Illinois. Jim Olson Collision Pizza Automotive in Harvard, Illinois. Pat's Brew and Q, a barbecue restaurant in Sharon, Wisconsin. The Sharon Chamber of Commerce in Sharon, Wisconsin. Habitat for Humanity in McHenry County in McHenry, Illinois. Sign Crafters in Hebron, Illinois. Joe Small Engine Repair in Harvard, Illinois. Thank you, sponsors. And everybody, thank you so much for being here today. Ed, special thanks to you on this Pearl Harbor Day. We always look forward to your talks. And I got to ask you, who you rooting for in the Army-Navy game? I think your dad was in the Navy. I'm sure you're an old rooting for Navy.
Well, we have a granddaughter at Annapolis, so we have to root for Navy this time. Usually I'd say Army, but...
Okay. Anyway, boy, what a tradition. You know, I tell you, that is one game, the tradition. You know, before the game, they come out onto the field and they march together. It's just unbelievable. Yeah. And especially when the President of the United States sometimes goes there.
Well, and it's Kelly said it was kind of tough being a plebe at the Naval Academy.
Right.
And that year she was the plebe, first-year student. They had a very good football team. They tended to score a lot. So
Right.
the plebes would have to go out, and every time the Navy scored, they'd have to do push-ups
to
support their team.
Yeah, well, that's great. Anyway, Ed, thank you so much, and we'll have you back on in 2023. Yeah.
All right. Sounds good.
Yes. Okay. Thank you so much, everybody. Thanks again for listening to the Dave in the Morning Show today. Stay tuned. Music will continue throughout the day. At 1 o'clock, it's On a Roll with Jay Schultz. I'll be back tonight at 6 for the Best of Broadway and Bop It with Beth. Beth Ryder will be on at 7 o'clock tonight, and we'll all be back tomorrow around 6 in the morning for the Thursday edition of the Dave in the Morning Show. Have a great day, everybody. Bye.
My dad was in Australia.